Rabies. It is one of the oldest known viral diseases, and for most of human history, a bite from an infected animal was considered a death sentence. The virus travels through the nervous system, slowly making its way to the brain. Once symptoms appear, survival is almost impossible. It spreads through the saliva of infected animals, most commonly dogs, bats, foxes, and raccoons. The infected person or animal becomes aggressive, confused, and eventually unable to swallow, which is why the sight of water triggers panic in late-stage patients. Vaccines exist and work well when given quickly after exposure, but in parts of the world where access to medical care is limited, rabies still kills tens of thousands of people every year. Marburg virus. This one does not get as much attention as some of its relatives, but it deserves serious respect. Marburg belongs to the same family as Ebola, and it behaves in a similarly devastating way, causing severe bleeding, organ failure, and death in a high percentage of those infected. It was first identified in 1967 when laboratory workers in Germany and Yugoslavia became sick after handling imported monkeys from Uganda. Fruit bats are believed to be its natural host. Outbreaks have been relatively rare, but fatality rates in some cases have climbed above 90%. There is no widely approved treatment, which makes containment the most critical tool available. Ebola. Few viruses have captured public fear the way Ebola has. It causes hemorrhagic fever, meaning it attacks the body's ability to control bleeding both internally and externally. Death can come within days. The virus was first identified in 1976 near the Ebola River in what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo. Fruit bats are again considered the likely reservoir. The 2014 to 2016 outbreak in West Africa was the largest in history, killing over 11,000 people and overwhelming entire healthcare systems. While vaccines and treatments have since been developed, Ebola remains one of the most feared pathogens because of how quickly and violently it progresses. HIV. Unlike most deadly viruses that kill quickly, HIV works over years. It attacks the immune system gradually, destroying the cells that the body depends on to fight off infection and disease. Left untreated, it leads to AIDS, a condition where the immune system is so weakened that even ordinary illnesses become fatal. Since it was identified in the early 1980s, HIV has killed an estimated 40 million people, making it one of the deadliest health crises in recorded history. Today, antiretroviral drugs can suppress the virus and allow people to live long, healthy lives, but there is still no cure, and millions around the world remain without access to treatment. Smallpox. It no longer exists in nature, but its history speaks for itself. Smallpox killed an estimated 300 million people in the 20th century alone. Before that, it reshaped civilizations, contributed to the collapse of indigenous populations after European contact, and left survivors permanently scarred or blinded. The virus spread easily through the air and had no natural animal host, meaning humans were its only target. A global vaccination campaign led by the World Health Organization finally eradicated it in 1980. The only human disease to ever be completely wiped out. Samples are still kept in 2 secure laboratories, one in the United States and one in Russia. Influenza. Most people think of the flu as unpleasant but manageable. For healthy adults today, that is often true. But the virus has a history of shifting into forms that the human immune system has never encountered. The 1918 influenza pandemic, sometimes called the Spanish flu, infected about 500 million people worldwide and killed somewhere between 50 and 100 million of them in less than 2 years. It remains the deadliest pandemic in modern history. What makes influenza particularly unpredictable is its ability to mutate rapidly and combine genetic material from animal strains, always creating the possibility of a new, dangerous version emerging. Dengue virus. Close to half the world's population lives in areas where dengue is a risk. It is carried by mosquitoes and causes intense fever, severe joint and muscle pain, and in serious cases, a dangerous drop in blood pressure that can be fatal. People have described the pain as so extreme that dengue earned the nickname breakbone fever. Around 400 million infections occur every year, with about 22,000 deaths. A particular danger exists for people who are infected a second time with a different strain of the virus. Their immune response can actually make the illness worse, a rare and troubling phenomenon. No widely effective antiviral treatment exists yet. Hantavirus. This virus does not spread from person to person. It comes from rodents, primarily through contact with their droppings, urine, or saliva. Breathing in contaminated dust is enough to become infected. The pulmonary form of the disease, known as hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, is particularly brutal. It fills the lungs with fluid and can cause respiratory failure within days. Fatality rates hover around 30 to 40%. Outbreaks in the Americas have been linked to deer mice. Cases are relatively rare, but the speed at which the illness progresses and the lack of a specific treatment make it one of the more dangerous respiratory illnesses a person can encounter. Lassa virus. In parts of West Africa, Lassa fever is a regular presence in hospitals, not a rare outbreak. The virus is carried by a type of rat commonly found in homes and food storage areas, and people become infected through contact with the rat's waste. Most infections cause mild or no symptoms, but in severe cases it attacks multiple organs and can cause deafness, one of its more unusual lasting effects in survivors. An estimated 100,000 to 300,000 infections occur annually, with several thousand deaths. Medical workers are at particular risk because the virus can spread through contact with an infected patient's bodily fluids. SARS-CoV-2. The virus that caused the COVID-19 pandemic changed the world in ways that are still being understood. It emerged at the end of 2019 and spread across every country on Earth within months. The death toll directly and indirectly attributable to the pandemic runs into the millions. What made this coronavirus especially difficult to contain was its ability to spread from people who showed no symptoms at all. It also left many survivors with lasting health problems collectively called long COVID. The speed at which vaccines were developed was unprecedented, but the virus's ability to mutate produced a series of new variants that extended the pandemic for years. Nipah virus. Nipah is not widely known, but it worries infectious disease experts considerably. It was first identified in Malaysia in 1998, when it spread from fruit bats to pigs and then to humans, killing more than 100 people. Later outbreaks in Bangladesh and India showed that it could spread directly between people. Fatality rates range from 40 to 75% depending on the outbreak. It can cause brain inflammation, seizures, and respiratory failure. What concerns researchers most is its combination of high lethality, the potential for human-to-human transmission, and the absence of any approved vaccine or treatment. It is listed by the World Health Organization as a priority pathogen requiring urgent research. Rift Valley fever virus. This virus primarily affects livestock, but it can and does infect humans through contact with infected animals or through mosquito bites. It circulates mainly in Africa and parts of the Arabian Peninsula. In animals, it causes widespread abortion and high death rates, which disrupts food supplies and economies. In most human cases, the illness is relatively mild, but a small percentage develop severe complications, hemorrhagic fever, eye inflammation that can lead to permanent vision loss, or encephalitis. Large outbreaks have followed periods of unusually heavy rainfall, which increases mosquito populations rapidly. While it has not yet spread globally, its potential to do so through mosquito carriers keeps it firmly on the radar of global health authorities.